Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Manchester United's game against Brentford is at risk of being postponed. Manchester United have been hit by a COVID outbreak. A small number of players and staff have tested positive for the virus. So obviously if the game against Brentford gets postponed, it will be rescheduled. But I'm hoping that the game against Brentford can go ahead. Obviously, Manchester United won their last game against Norwich 1-0. The goal came from a Cristiano Ronaldo penalty. Ronaldo won the penalty because he was dragged down by Max Aarons. Ronaldo now has 13 goals in all competitions since he re-signed for Man United, and he scored 802 goals in his career. It was a poor performance against Norwich, but Manchester United still managed to get the win. Rangnick was unimpressed by his side's lack of intensity against Norwich. So Rangnick is demanding more from Manchester United. He wants us to be more aggressive. Reflecting on the win against Norwich, it's back-to-back wins in the Premier League for Rangnick. Rangnick is unbeaten as Manchester United manager so far. Rangnick is Manchester United's interim manager until the end of the season, because obviously he signed a 6-month contract, and then after that Rangnick will take a consultancy role for a further 2 years. If Rangnick does well as the interim manager, there's a chance he'll get the Man United job on a permanent basis. Rangnick has been given a £100 million transfer budget for January. You can get quite a few players out of that. Prior to the Norwich game, it said Rangnick has got a Man United midfield plan. ESPN did say that Calvin Phillips, Amadou Haidara and Jude Bellingham are key targets. And Rangnick told bosses at Man United that their midfield was weak in his interview for the job. Before Manchester United, Rangnick was the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. Now obviously Manchester United are missing players. Lindelof, he had to come off against Norwich because he was suffering breathing problems and chest pains. Obviously Lindelof got seen by the club doctor, and as far as I'm aware, Lindelof is okay. That's what Ralph Rangnick said. But it's saying Lindelof is out until late December. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is still injured. He came off injured in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys. Paul Pogba, he's out with a thigh injury. Pogba is out for the rest of the year. Prior to the game, it said Ralph Rangnick will not try to persuade Paul Pogba to stay at Manchester United if he wants to go. Pogba's current contract at Man United expires next summer. Revert back to the start of the season, Pogba rejected a new Man United contract offer. Varane's still out with injury but close to returning. Cavani is still out with injury but close to returning. Martial recently picked up an injury, so they're the injuries Man United have got. Matic has got a cold, and Juan Mata is out with illness. As for Brentford, they're enjoying a very good season to their standards. You know, Brentford are now, 10th in the Premier League after today's results. They were 9th before today. Brentford won their last game against Watford 2-1. This season has been Brentford's first ever season in the Premier League. Prior to this season, the last time Brentford were in the top flight was back in 1947. That's around 74 years ago. You know, Brentford have got some good players in their team. Obviously, one of their key players is Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney is out with COVID at the moment. So if this game does go ahead on Tuesday, you know, Ivan Toney won't be able to play. Brentford have also got Sergi Canos, who's good. Brian Mbumo, he's also a good attacking player. Brentford have also got Max Haygarth. They've also got Marcus Fors. Brentford have also got Chandon Baptiste. They've also got Christian Norgard, who's good. Brentford have also got Pontus Jansson. He's a former Leeds United player. They've also got Rico Henry. They've got Joel Valencia. They've got Finn Stevens. They've also got Charlie Goode. They've got Pinnock. Pinnock is also out with COVID. They've also got Joshua De Silva. De Silva is out with injury at the moment. They've got Tariq Fosu. He's an attacking player. He's out with injury at the moment. So they are quite a few players that Brentford have got. Brentford's manager is Thomas Frank, and I've got to give him credit. I think he's done really, really well with Brentford. Thomas Frank has got a contract with Brentford until 2023. He's been Brentford manager for over 3 years. Before he was the Brentford manager, he was the Brentford assistant. Before, he managed Bromby, and before, he managed Denmark's under 16s, 17s and 19s. Let me put into the equation as well that Brentford lost Ollie Watkins to Aston Villa, and they also lost Ben Rama to West Ham. Manchester United play Brighton at the weekend. Now, I can assure at the end of the season that Manchester United will get a permanent manager. You know, like I said, it could be Ralph Rangnick if he does a good job as the interim. Erik ten Hag, you know, has been spoken about today. Revert back to earlier on in the season, it said Erik ten Hag is said to be interested in the Manchester United job in the summer, and Ajax will not stand in his way if he wants to leave at the end of the season. Now, revert back to earlier on in the week, Edwin van der Sar spoke about Manchester United's interest in Erik ten Hag, and Edwin van der Sar believes Ajax could lose Erik ten Hag in the summer. Revert back to earlier on in the week as well, there was reports saying that Edwin van der Sar expects a future role at Manchester United. I'd like to see Edwin van der Sar come back to the club. You know, Edwin van der Sar is a former Manchester United goalkeeper. You know, Van der Sar did endure 6 years as the Man United goalkeeper. Now, Edwin van der Sar is a CEO at Ajax. He's been CEO at Ajax since 2016. Revert back to the other week, Roberto Mancini was also mentioned. It said Manchester United consider hiring Roberto Mancini instead of Mauricio Pochettino. Recently, it said Roberto Mancini denied becoming Manchester United's next permanent manager. Revert back to earlier on in the season, Brendan Rodgers was mentioned, but I initially disregarded Brendan Rodgers as earlier on in the season Rodgers dismissed links to the Man United job. Because he come out and said that I'm proud to be at Leicester. At one point though, he did say that Rodgers was house hunting in Cheshire, and that stirred some suggestions up, and at that point he said Rodgers was the favourite to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And Pochettino, he's been spoken about a lot. I still believe that Pochettino is the favourite to become Manchester United's next permanent manager. Manchester United have sat 4 permanent managers since Ferguson. You know, Manchester United sat David Moyes after 10 months. Manchester United finished 7th under the Moyes era. That's the lowest we've finished in the Premier League era. Then Man United sat Louis van Gaal after 2 years or so, despite him winning the FA Cup. Then Man United sat Jose Mourinho after like 2.5 years. Mourinho did enjoy one good season at Man United because he won 3 trophies in his first season. But the reasons it didn't work out under Mourinho is because he had bad disputes with the board, bad disputes with the top players as well. And 3 weeks ago, Manchester United sacked Solskjaer following the 4-1 defeat to Watford. As you all know, when Solskjaer officially got sacked, he did a farewell interview, and he got emotional in that farewell interview, which was of course understandable because Solskjaer adores the club and Solskjaer was part of the club for a long time. You know, he was Manchester United manager for almost 3 years, and he enjoyed 11 years as a player for Man United, so that's almost 14 years in total. You know, despite Man United sacking Solskjaer 3 weeks ago, all United fans still adore Solskjaer, they're still chanting his name. Obviously, you know, reflecting on what he did for the club, you know, Solskjaer is a club legend and he always will be a club legend. You know, Manchester United certainly made the right decision sacking Solskjaer. I don't think Man United really wanted to sack him, but they was left with no choice in the end but to sack him. You know, Manchester United paid Solskjaer around 7.5 million because revert back to last summer, Solskjaer signed a 3-year contract with an option of a further year. And Manchester United should have never give Solskjaer that contract because I knew for a long time that he wasn't the long-term manager for Man United. You know, Solskjaer has no proven pedigree as a manager. You know, the clubs he's managed in his managerial career, of course, he managed Manchester United's reserve team for a couple of years. He managed Cardiff. His record at Cardiff was terrible. You know, Solskjaer got sacked from Cardiff because he got Cardiff relegated. Then Solskjaer endured 2 spells at Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles with them, but they're not a big club. And of course, he managed Manchester United's senior squad. Solskjaer had a proven pedigree when he was a Man United player because he won a lot of trophies as a United player. And his most iconic moment when he was a United player was when he scored the winning goal in the Champions League final at the Nou Camp back in 1999 because Solskjaer won the club the treble. Solskjaer did get appointed in December 2018 as the interim manager. Of course, he replaced Mourinho. Solskjaer was the interim manager in his first 3 months. He did very well as the interim manager, so the club decided to give him the job on a permanent basis back in March 2019. Ollie knew though when he'd taken over at Man United it was going to be a massive job, not only a massive job, a difficult job as well. Despite him knowing the club through thick and thin, because Ole was managing one of the biggest clubs in the world. When Solskjaer was Man United manager, I liked the way he developed the youth. He also made good signings when he was Manchester United manager. When Solskjaer was United manager, he signed 14 players. In the summer of 2019, recommended Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. In January 2020, he recommended Bruno Fernandes in and Odion Ighalo in on loan. Then in the summer of 2020, he recommended Edison Cavani and Donny van de Beek, Alex Telles, Amad Diallo and Facundo Pellistri. And then obviously last summer, Solskjaer recommended Tom Heaton in Jadon Sancho, Rafael Varane and re-signed Cristiano Ronaldo after 12 years. Solskjaer enjoyed like 5 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. Man United did spend over £400 million under Solskjaer. When Solskjaer was Man United manager, he offloaded a lot of players. He loaned players out and he got rid of players permanently. So the players he loaned out last summer, obviously he loaned Axel Tuanzebe out. He loaned Andres Pereira out. He loaned Brandon Williams out. He loaned Ethan Laird out. He loaned Tahith Chon out. And he loaned Facundo Pellistri out. And the players Solskjaer did get rid of permanently when he was United manager. Obviously, he offloaded Daniel James last summer. He was the only player Man United sold last summer. Ole also offloaded Borthwick Jackson and James Wilson. He also released Sergio Romero and Joe Pereira. He also offloaded Ighalo, Fosu-Mensah and Rojo. That was back in January this year. Ole also offloaded players like Ashley Young, Valencia and Smalling. He also offloaded Darmian. He also offloaded Fellaini back in January 2019. He also offloaded Ander Herrera, Angel Gomez, Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez. So they're a lot of the players he got rid of permanently. You can say some progress was made when Solskjaer was Man United manager, because reflecting on his first full season when he was United manager, he got us to 3 semi-finals and he got us a 3rd place finish. And then in his second full season, he got us to the Carabao Cup semi-final. He got us to the FA Cup quarter-final and he got us to the Europa League final. And that was his first major final when he was United manager, but he didn't win it, unfortunately. And he got us a 2nd place finish in his second full season. So there you go, and don't forget, Man United went 29 games unbeaten away from home in the Premier League under Solskjaer. But revert back to the last few months of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial tenure at Man United. The performances were terrible and the results were very, very bad as well. So it was obvious that obviously the players weren't playing for Solskjaer. Don't get me wrong, not all of the blame stem. Yeah. As I was saying, reflecting on the poor performances, not all the blame stemmed from Solskjaer. Yes, he was accountable for certain things because his tactics and his team selections and that were questioned a lot, but there was also players that had to take responsibility for those poor performances as well. You know, Manchester United are not going to replicate what they did under Ferguson, so in that aspect we've got to accept that. You know, Ferguson's the greatest manager of all time. You know, he brought success to Manchester United. He won 30 odd trophies, including 13 Premier League titles, but Ferguson didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Man United. So it does take some managers time to settle in. You know, Ferguson was at Manchester United for around 26 years, so reflecting on that, he was a very long-serving manager. Players are going to be leaving Manchester United next year. You know, Rangnick will do a clear out. Martial, he's going next year. Because according to Martial's agent, Anthony Martial wants to leave Manchester United in January. Obviously, he's wanting more game time, Martial. He's not getting enough game time at Manchester United. You know, Martial's only started 2 games in the league this season. You know, the last game Martial played was the 2-0 win against Villarreal. And he started on the left-hand side in that game. Martial picked up an injury not so long ago. I think Martial's only enjoyed one good season at Man United. That was his debut season under Van Gaal. Martial's been at Manchester United for 6.5 years. He's got 3 years left on his contract, and Martial scored 79 goals in 268 appearances in all competitions. Manchester United paid an initial fee of 36 million for Martial, but with add-ons it rises up to around 57-58 million pound. Cavani, he's leaving next year. Not so long ago, Cavani said he wants to make a move to Barcelona. Barcelona are keen on signing Edison Cavani in January, but only for a modest price. Cavani's contract at Man United expires next summer. Back in May, Cavani signed a 1-year contract extension. Cavani's out of injury at the moment. Revert back to earlier on in the season, Cavani had an injury. Cavani initially lost his place in the team with the club re-signing Ronaldo last summer. Man United got Cavani on a free transfer. This season is Cavani's second full season at Man United. Lingard, I think he's also leaving the club as well next year. I think Juan Mata's leaving next year. There's a good chance that Donny van der Beek will leave next year because Donny van der Beek doesn't get enough starts at Manchester United. You know, Van der Beek didn't start against Norwich, but he come on in the game. I think Matic is leaving next year. Pogba could be leaving next year. If Pogba leaves next year, he'll leave next summer. He won't leave in January, midway through the season. I think Tellez and Delors could be leaving next year because they only really seem to play when Shaw and Bissaka are not available. Obviously, Shaw and Bissaka are our first choice fullbacks. You know, Delors and Tellez have been playing a lot in recent weeks because obviously Shaw had a concussion and Bissaka's suffered a couple of injuries as well. Jones and Bailly, I think they're also going next year, and Dean Henderson's already confirmed that he wants a loan move away from Man United. He might as well because he doesn't really get in goal now because revert back to last summer, De Gea reclaimed the number 1 spot back, didn't he? Henderson was in goal for the 1-1 draw against Young Boys, wasn't he? But that was only his second appearance this season. Revert back to earlier on this season, Henderson had COVID. Towards the end of last season, though, Henderson got that number 1 jersey, didn't he? And he did well, to be fair, in a lot of the games he was in goal for last season. So anyway guys, if anything else updates, I will update you. Drop your comments, like, explore on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very soon.